On our podcast, Dessert Before Breakfast, we review final episodes of TV shows with one catch. At least one of us hasn't watched any of the series before.
Who built these robots?
This shouldn't be difficult!
Is it a metaphor? What does it mean? Where was the creek?
Yeah, I saw no creek.
Did it ever show up?
Yeah.
Wow.
Dessert Before Breakfast. Available wherever you get your podcasts.
I don't know what's happening.
I resisted facial hair until like 5 years ago. I was like, I'm going to, no tattoos, no piercings, no facial hair.
Then it started growing?
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
Roger, Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
I know that, Mr. Man. They also call them cereals. I'm not stupid, you know.
The story is ludicrous. You can imagine where it goes from here.
Fixes the cable.
Did you ever have sex with an animal, Jack? Remember those chickens around the Indian reservation? There's some good-looking chickens there, Jack. You know, between us.
Yeah, a couple there might have taken a shot at.
What's with you and that watch? What is it with the watch? You told me when you get to know me better. You told me about your feelings for chickens. I mean, how private could the watch be? What's the big secret?
Gail bought me this watch. She gave it to me. It was the first thing she ever gave me. She bought it because I was always late. At least a half an hour, so she bought it and set it ahead of half an hour so I'd never be late. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I keep thinking we're gonna wind up together again. I don't know why. I'm still hanging on. I'm still waiting around.
I don't think she's coming back. Sometimes you just have to let go. Just get yourself a new watch.
It is sort of, it's getting to be After Dark. This is Black Dog Video. That makes us the Black Dog Video After Dark podcast, a.k.a. Black Dog After Dark.
Also known as Black Dog AD.
I am one of your hosts, Dylan Reimer. I'm a comedian and occasional employee of Black Dog Video here in Vancouver. And as always, sitting to my left is...
I'm Alex Chisholm. I also work at Black Dog Video Commercial Drive. And I also program at the Rio Theater down the street, 1660 East Broadway.
When it's open.
When it's open.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be soon.
Stay tuned.
I like it better when it's open.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
It's a lot more fun.
It's more fun to work there when it's open.
Who are you, third voice?
I am Darren Gay. I own this decrepit establishment in the sunny confines of East Vancouver.
You always say such nasty things about your own property.
It's said in love.
It's like hard love.
Yeah, well,
you know, spare the rod, spoil the store.
Something like that. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And we are joined once again by a regular guest, employee, fellow employee, artist, old friend, Josie Boyce. Say hello, Josie.
Hello, Josie.
Oh, such a classic. I love it.
Can't not do that, right? I'm standing here with a comedian. They're sitting here.
Yeah, you're always going to
have someone a mic, and they've got to make a line like that.
Yeah, it's just how it goes. Yeah, I'm Josie Boyce. I'm the former manager of this establishment.
It wasn't as decrepit when you were running.
It was less decrepit then, but it was
tip-top.
It was just mostly crepit. Mm-hmm. It wasn't as decrepit.
It wasn't quite. Yes, it was decent,
crepit,
decently crepit.
And actually, Darren's sitting right out underneath where the leak used to be.
Yeah,
that would be dripping on him now.
Oh yeah.
The thing is, we don't know what that leak was.
No
one could ever determine what it was.
It could be a ghost peeing.
It could be a ghost peeing.
I think really
ghost
that's
urine.
what it was. Is ghost urination.
Yeah,
It's what do they call it? The ectoplasm.
Yeah,
leaking onto Darren.
Yeah, well, I don't.
And speaking of ectoplasm, isn't this is about the recently deceased?
This is about the recently deceased. I was going to ask you about a few of your other projects.
Oh yeah, sure. I have a zine that you can buy here at Black Dog. It's on the shelf when I'm working on the desk. It's called The Indolent Spinster's Occasional Concern, and I'm the Indolent Spinster. Make of that what you will.
And the occasional concern. You write about pop culture movies.
Pop culture. There's a lot of movie reviews in it. I have a noir special. I have a horror spectacular.
Mm-hmm. You did Zardoz, I think.
I did. Yeah, I did a film festival of 70s sci-fi movies, and I did Zardoz. It was called everything's coming up Zardoz.
I love it.
You sat in for our Zardoz, right?
And I sat in for the Zardoz
Oh, that's
podcast
right.
here just a little while ago.
Yes.
And which I've listened to, and we were kind of funny.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah,
You know,
it was
you
a good one.
get a couple drinks in you. They start out boring. So if you're listening at home or
just
what the hell
fast
is
forward
this?
about an hour.
or if you're jogging while listening to this,
Yeah.
I don't know why you would
Do some stretches.
but if you want to jog for roughly 90 minutes while listening to an obscure film
Yeah,
because
start off
your
slower
wife
now.
is mad at you or something, fast
Or
forward
husband.
about 20 minutes until we get a few drinks in and and then the fists start flying.
Yeah.
But you know what? We're going to be well behaved this
Yeah.
time because this is an in memoriam episode.
So we're all sad.
This is one of the sad ones, but it's also a celebration.
Exactly.
We just found out, sadly, that the newly late great Charles Grodin passed away yesterday. And so we scrapped our plans. We etch-a-sketched it, and we figured because we've been wanting to do this movie for some time.
Mm-hmm.
And of course we invited Josie on because you are also a big fan of 1988's classic action comedy Midnight Run.
Yes.
Which directed by Martin Brest of Beverly Hills Cop fame.
and Jiggly fame.
Oh, he did Geely?
Yeah.
Oh no.
That was, I think, might have been his last movie.
Well, let's
He
not
had
talk
some-
about that.
He
Speaking
had
of
some
dead,
up and down career.
Yeah.
You know, he was not. He made some good films.
He did.
I only know Beverly Hills Cop. That's the only one I could really think of.
That's one of his best.
I would argue that the one we're talking about tonight,
I think it's
probably
his best.
Is
and
his best, in
sadly,
my
it's kind of a cult film. Not a lot of people. I mean, less people than I know have that I would have expected remember this movie. But those who have seen it tend to love it. I don't know anyone who's like, I saw Midnight Run and I just hated it.
Yeah, nobody hates this movie.
You know, I mean. Yeah, I mean, it has its 80s elements, the saxophone music.
Oh, that hot sax.
Oh, yeah.
Courtesy of Danny Elfman.
Danny Elfman.
Makes me dream of Yaphet Kotto every time I hear it.
Oh, Yaphet.
I mean...
I forgot he was in
This
this until
was-
he showed up on screen.
I love Danny
That's wonderful
Elfman's
when he shows up.
Yeah.
music, but I found this to be of the ones I've seen anyway, or the ones I've heard. This is the least Danny Elfman of Danny Elfman's soundtrack.
I'd say that's
it was
reasonable.
a really straight up slick kind of TV cop show feel.
This must have been shortly after Pee-wee's Big Adventure and right before Batman, I would imagine.
Yeah, right in that time frame.
Yeah, you know, just because I would never have guessed.
Because when it came out, 88, 89?
This is a 1988 classic.
Yeah.
I'll get things started. My first memory of Midnight Run is this is one of those. You know, I was 13. Probably one of the first R-rated movies. Absolutely, the first Robert De Niro movie I ever saw. So when I think of Robert De Niro, I always think of Midnight Run. Like even the whole time I'm watching The Irishman, I'm like, it's the guy. That old guy was in Midnight Run. I thought he was a comedian, and then I found out afterwards that he's this beloved actor, like the greatest actor of all time. He's terrific in this. Yeah, it's one of those experiences when you're a kid, you get to go to an R-rated comedy where there's tons of smoking, tons of swearing, tons of shooting.
So was it rated R because of all the swearing?
Swearing, absolutely. Because I don't think
there's nothing else in it, really.
Nobody gets killed in it. There's a lot of shooting and a lot of cars crashing.
Marvin gets beat up a lot. But
there's a helicopter
and he
that
deserves
explodes.
it.
Yeah.
The helicopter baddies.
Yeah,
those guys get smoked.
They get properly blown up real good, as SCTV would say.
Mm-hmm.
So and my sister and I just this is the movie that we quote more than any other movie. So Midnight Run has pretty much been a part of my life.
Wow.
Since 1988, and I'm happy to sit down and talk about it for the next hour or so. How about you, Alex?
I first remembered seeing ads for it in magazines. Like I read Rolling Stone as a teen and stuff, and there was like a full page ad for it and stuff. I didn't see it in theaters, but I saw it on like a lot of the movies I refer to here. That the first time I seen them was when it was on pay TV, like First Choice and Super Channel, because they were I was a little too young to see it in the theater. But this was the first time, I guess, watching it on DVD and seeing it like a nice widescreen edition or whatever. VHS.
Formatted for the airplane.
Yeah, with all the F-bombs taken out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was none. Well, no, it wouldn't have been taken out because it was one of the movie channels.
Oh, okay.
No, I saw the movie uncut. It was just that it was like either a crappy formatted for your
Well,
television.
this is a
VHS.
terrible movie to watch on TV when it's censored.
Or, I didn't see it
I've
censored.
seen it. I've sat through a few minutes and like you pretty much cut Dennis Farina entirely out of the film.
Entirely, and Joe Pantoliano.
Did they like on television? Would they just like silent or bleep out the swearing? Or
No,
would they change
no,
the words
they
to
changed the
something
words
ridiculous?
to words that don't exist.
I love that.
That I can't even replicate because they just like what?
It's so nonsensical.
It's totally nonsensical.
Yeah, Muddy Funster.
Yeah.
The first time I saw, Do the Right Thing was on CTV.
Oh, God.
And like the Academy Performance, whatever that
I think
banner
there's
show
swearing
these
in
days.
that movie.
They do, and I didn't catch on right away. I turned it on, and they kept saying Mickey Flicky. And I remember thinking it was some kind of slang I didn't understand. Wait a minute,
That's how the
they're
black
dubbing.
people in
And,
New
yeah, a
York
friend
talked
of
in the
mine was
80s.
talking about it the next day who had seen it on VHS and like, oh my God, they aired it on TV last night, Do the Right Thing, and they were saying Mickey Flicky. And I was like,
yeah.
oh, I get it.
Every second word in this is fuck.
Yeah.
I can't think of a movie with more swearing than Midnight Run.
Scarface.
Yeah, the original title was
I don't know, man. I think like in Scarface they take breaks to shoot each other and do cocaine.
There is that.
But in this, it's just nonstop barrage of and specifically fuck. Like I don't think they ever say shit.
Scarface held the record for.
Oh, really?
afterwards. It did for many years. It might still actually.
I don't know.
Well, hopefully somebody will come along and beat that.
Yeah.
There's
they
something
haven't
for our
already,
young
definitely.
people.
Yeah,
A challenge.
to aspire to. Maybe
a
Bill Burr
challenge
will get
for
a
young
movie.
filmmakers.
Mr. Darren, sir, what are your first memories of Midnight Run?
I saw it in the theater when it came out. I guess in '88. Be honest, I didn't care that much for it when I first saw it. I thought it was okay. You know, I was like, yeah, it's just another kind of buddy cop kind of action-y thing. But yeah, I saw it and it didn't really stay with me, and I can't remember if I've seen it or not since. I may have, or I may not have, until last night.
Okay,
Yep.
and you're withholding, I guess, how you feel about this.
Oh, yeah.
until the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And Josie.
Yeah, like you said earlier, I've always been a big booster of this movie, and I saw it when it came out, and I was like 22 or something then. I went to see every movie that came out pretty much. I was a film student, and I watched films all day. I didn't see it again for a couple of years, and then I moved to Vancouver, and a friend of mine that I was staying with had a tape.
What was on this tape?
Midnight Run.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like a,
It's intriguing.
tape, Midnight Run. And we watched the hell out of that tape, smoked a lot of weed, drank a lot of beer, and to this day, all 30 years later, literally 30 years later, still when we see each other, quote this film back and forth with each other.
No.
And anything that happens that is remotely similar, we say the Dennis Farina line that is appropriate.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm going to stab you in the neck with the number 2 pencil.
Yeah, he did have the best lines.
Have a cream soda.
Is this dummy number 1 or dummy number 2? Put dummy number 2 on the phone.
Yeah. You know what? Okay, this movie just, I don't know. It's this combination. My sister and I do that too.
Yeah.
Just out of the blue. If Chicago comes up at all in any, if we are within earshot of the word Chicago, immediately it's, why weren't you popular with the Chicago Police Department? We have entire conversations that are just lines from Midnight Run.
Did he ever answer that question? I know he was asked a number of times.
He did on the train. On the
train?
Yeah, he wouldn't. He wouldn't. It's pretty obvious he wouldn't take a payoff.
Yeah.
And then his wife went and married a corrupt cop.
Right.
Which he's a real jerk about when he goes and asks her for money.
Sure is.
It doesn't take him long to
loses cool. It's like yelling at her.
Yeah, like immediately.
Yeah. Hadn't seen her in 9 years. Asking for money.
Yeah.
What do you do?
And then the man you married is a totally corrupt cop right in front of his kid too.
Yeah.
Okay, so this movie. First of all, I think he got a great script.
Yeah, the script is very good.
The cast is. Did Martin Brest write it? I didn't.
No, it's a different writer. I can't remember the name. I've never heard of the guy before. I did a little bit of research on the movie today, and I'd never heard of him. But it's not Martin Brest. He produced and directed it.
You got and the cast. I mean, I'm watching this thing, and it's just at the time I didn't know who anybody was. I didn't know who Yaphet Kotto was. I didn't know who Joe Pantoliano was.
Joey Pants.
And then watching
Joey
it this
Pants.
time, it's just like, oh yeah. Like, I mean, everybody in this movie is great.
John
I
Ashton.
read about this film some time ago, like a couple of years ago, And apparently, I'm not joking. Apparently, talking about casting, but the Grodin character. Seriously, 2 actors that were seriously considered to play that character, and I'm not joking. Robin Williams,
yep,
and Cher,
yep, and also Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis,
he was in talks for that. Yeah, but they wanted Cher for the Charles Grodin because they wanted to have a female. They wanted to have some sort of sexual chemistry between her and Robert De Niro, and they said, and Martin Brest said no, and then the original studio dropped the project, and it got picked up by another studio because. They want because it's more box office friendly to have a bigger star.
It's also weirder when Jack like handcuffing Cher to the inside of a bathroom like is
handcuffing her to everything
or just or does Charles or Marvin just cold cocking Cher.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
And then Dennis Farina saying, I'm going to find your husband and murder him after I shoot you in the fucking head.
Well, I was thinking like it's all dudes in this movie. The only woman is De Niro's ex-wife.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe it would have been interesting to have like the other bounty guy, John Ashton's character, played by like a tough woman. Might have been interesting. But then I'm thinking he gets like punched in the face so many times. And like, they'd have to do a workaround on that because you can't keep punching the woman in the face through the whole movie.
Yeah, and then handcuffing him to a car and leaving her in the desert.
Yeah,
and then she's
because it's all played for laughs, and that wouldn't be funny.
Yeah,
with a woman, but it's funny with a.
There's just so much violence in this movie that a lot of audiences would have found it off-putting. I
didn't find that violent.
Like, I would imagine, like maybe the feds. You could maybe Yaphet Kotto's character.
Oh, he's so good.
Maybe Mosley. Yeah, but he's so good.
Yeah,
he is.
Oh my god,
iconic.
Are all you guys named Mosley? I mean, every line in this movie is funny.
Because you'd think that joke of his name keep being used coming up over and over again. It would get tired after a while, but it doesn't. It's
never
funny.
does.
It's funny every single time.
My friend who had the tape, he knew another guy who I never met. This guy you always talked about, who had a fake ID. Alonzo Mosley.
Really? That's awesome.
And he kept using it after he turned. He was American, and he kept using it after he turned 21.
Oh yeah.
I would legally change my name.
Yeah.
To Alonzo Mosley, FBI.
Apparently, Yaphet Kotto hated doing this movie.
Really?
He had a miserable time.
He kind of looks like
he looks unhappy.
He wasn't feeling well for the whole time. Martin Brest made him do take after take after take. He says it's one of the worst movie experiences he's ever had.
Wow.
I know. And he just died like a couple weeks ago.
That's right.
Yeah, and then somebody else in this movie.
We better keep an eye on all these guys. Joey Pants is still alive, right?
And so is Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
He is not still alive.
Philip Baker Hall.
Yes.
Is who I always get. It's the three named Phillips.
Well, you know what? I noticed something interesting in this movie about Philip Baker Hall's character.
I noticed this too.
His name is Sidney.
Yes.
And Paul Thomas Anderson, another 3-name guy, his first movie, Hard 8, he's in that movie as a character named Sidney. It's supposed to be called Sidney, actually.
Yeah. Hard 8 was originally called Sidney. Yeah.
So I wonder if there's something
I'm actually...
And
like I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm like almost 100% sure there's at least one other movie where he's called Sidney.
Really?
There might even be a couple.
There are 4. I looked it up.
You looked it up
because his name was Sidney, and I was like, I couldn't figure out. At first, I thought he was. I thought he was the lawyer for Dennis Farina for Jimmy Serrano, and I'm like, wait a minute, a lawyer doesn't get to just say kill him so he doesn't go on the stand. And then I looked it up, and then when I was thinking how much I love Philip Baker Hall and everything.
Yeah.
What happened with Sidney is he's been in 4 movies. They are, I wrote this down. Is a Hard 8, a short P.T. Anderson, Cigarettes and Coffee, Eye for an Eye, and then Midnight Run. But so the movie Sidney, aka Hard 8.
Yeah.
Paul Thomas Anderson, when he was in high school, saw Midnight Run and really loved Philip Baker Hall because he got kind of obsessed with him because he did so much with such a small role.
Right.
That he went and he wrote a short film called Cigarettes and Coffee, and he cast him as Sidney. And then, so basically Hard 8 came about because he plays a character named Sidney in Midnight Run. Paul Thomas Anderson wrote...
Nice.
So there's a total connection. I was wondering
there's a direct connection.
Yeah, I was wondering if he even continued that character because it's he's like in the I can't remember if he's a mob guy in Hard 8, but he's in Vegas.
I think he's just a gambler, isn't he?
Gambler. gambler.
But he's a grifter, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And he always kind of plays that character, you know, like
it's not out of his wheelhouse to play that sort of guy at all.
Sort of,
It's
you know,
like,
my favorite is actually in the Talented Mr. Ripley. That movie comes up on the podcast all the time. But he's kind of a hard ass.
Mm-hmm.
He's just so good at that kind of like gumshoe. I don't know, like almost like a film noir kind of character. Anyway, so 4 movies where his name's Sydney, and
Interesting.
And it's because of Midnight Run that we got Hard 8.
Oh, well, way to go, Midnight Run, because Hard
no,
8's really good.
Yeah, well, Paul Thomas Anderson also has good taste.
Yep. Never made a bad film.
See the cast. Who else have we got? We got Dennis Farina, Joe Pantoliano, Yaphet Kotto, John Ashton. There's another guy. I could not figure out what I knew this guy from, and
I've
then
seen him in tons of
then
stuff,
it was Midnight once again Beverly Hills
Oh,
Cop.
Midnight Run.
He's in
It's
that
like and he is just so fucking funny in this movie.
Yeah.
Like every Marv scene is
It's
hilarious.
great, yeah.
And that could have just been like a dead character, like a lame character, like he's just a jerk.
He
but-
almost steals the show when he's in the scenes with, like, especially like when the 3 of them are on screen together.
Yeah.
But those other 2 guys are so good.
Have you seen the TV movie version of Midnight Run?
I remember the TV series.
Yeah, the TV series.
I didn't know they even
he
existed.
actually.
It was very
I
short
only
lived.
saw it
probably
when it
had a
was first-
pilot episode.
Yeah, it was like a pilot episode I saw, and it had Marvin in it, that actor.
Oh, John Ashton came back for the series, like
Yeah.
like Radar on MASH. Yeah.
Who played the De Niro character on the show? Do you remember?
Some guy.
Some like really, guy who on the surface is a De Niro type,
Right.
Yeah.
but had no depth or
Yeah, he was like a sitcom actor.
sitcom,
Richard
like some
Grieco
guy
or something?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
interchangeable brunette man.
Yes, better than Richard Grieco.
Yeah, I think,
But
I
not
don't
much.
think I don't think it was Richard Grieco exactly,
No.
but like that ballpark.
But one of those
Right.
types, Greekish.
Greek.
I did
Greeco-ish.
nothing against the Greeks,
No, he has nothing to
but the
do-
Greekos,
Yeah.
you got to go.
Screw 'em.
There are so many. This is such a well written script. The story is good. The characters are great, but it's the little side jokes, like the kid on the airplane.
The dialogue and the bits are polished,
Yeah,
right? Like this is like these the setups and the lines. Like you almost if you're a professional actor, like all these people are good actors.
yeah.
You really can't fail with this because it's the lines are so good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I actually wish I'd bothered to look up who wrote this. I apologize to the writer because I'm a huge fan.
He's probably dead now.
But there's so many. There's a scene where Marvin. I think it's when you first see Marvin, and Joey Pants phones him up and says like, Walsh screwed up or whatever. And Marvin's in a motel room. He's eating fries on the bed, and he's like, I don't know why you keep hiring that guy, and then. And then it pulls back, and he's got a guy chained to the radiator.
Yeah.
And the guy's asking for fries.
Yeah, and he goes, but then, the guy says, "Can I have it?" He goes, "It's your lucky day, fucko." Why? Shut up. And then he says, "Can I have one of the fries?" And then he says, "I already told you no." And that line, "I already told you," it's like you can just imagine the conversation about the fries.
That led up to that.
Yeah. And there's another thing where if Dennis Farina says like, "Is this more on number 1, putting more on number 2 on the line or whatever?" And it's like, I'm going to come down there, I'm going to stab you in the neck with a number 2 pencil. And he hangs up, and then there's just one more joke where the bartender mobster is like, "Yeah, he's not mad at me, is he?"
Yeah.
And there's just all these little add-ons.
Actually, one of my favorite bits is when one of those 2 gangsters is on the phone.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah,
the other
there's
guy's like pretend to punch him. He's like, get out. He comes back. He's like giving a few shots. It's such a weird little.
Hop along, Casadich.
Oh, hop along, Casadich is so funny. And then and again he goes, "Take that thing off. I'm not going to tell you again."
Yeah.
And it's like, so they must have had the conversation earlier about the stupid hat. I could watch a whole movie about those 2 mobsters.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
that would be
pretty
the
awesome.
spin-off is those 2 guys.
Oh God, they're funny. They're so fucking funny.
Yeah.
If Dennis Farina was still alive.
Oh,
He could-
yeah.
He died too, didn't
He would be like occasional guest star, telling them off.
Yeah, he had the best lines. I'm going to stab you in the fucking heart with a pencil.
I'm gonna come down there. Jesus Christ, Sydney, calm down. Have a cream soda. Have a sandwich. Have some goddamn thing. Everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had to stop and write. I just had to write down. But I'm gonna stab you in the neck with a number 2 pencil. I'm gonna get on a plane and blow torch the both of you. And then anyway, I mean, like we don't even need to talk about the plot. I mean, unless you want to start from the beginning, but I don't know if we really need to.
The plot,
the
plot's simple. Like Charles Grodin is an accountant for the mob who's stolen a bunch of money, and he's gone on the lam before he has to go to trial. So the bail bondsman sends De Niro out, who's
Joe Pantoliano.
Yeah.
Ex-cop turned bounty hunter.
Yeah,
De Niro.
and Joey Pants just yells all his lines in one of the worst outfits I think I've ever seen in the movie. It's like
beard.
everything. The little tiny like earring and he just exudes sleazy pimp guy, but he's not a pimp.
Of Grease.
And right off the bat, he's trying to rip off Jack Walsh.
Yeah.
You know, right before he asks him for a favor, he's trying to rip him off.
Yeah.
Oh my god! And every character in this movie has something to do. Like Joey Pants is this assistant. Like he's
informing the mob.
He's informing the mob. Like
he's trying to weasel his way into the mob.
And he's just always saying, "I'll go get some donuts."
Yeah.
I remember seeing that in the theater, and every time that guy said, "I'll get some donuts," the entire audience would laugh.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
Why is it though? Whenever you say that line, no one laughs.
Because donuts are gross.
Because I have diabetes.
And he'll die if he eats them.
Why?
I'm not allowed to eat donuts. So it's basically, tough guy bounty hunter has to get sensitive, savvy, probably smart. It's two different kinds of smart. You got the street smart versus like the book smart.
Right. But he's also a little street smart. He fakes not being able to fly. To get off the plane because to prolong the time between he does
some pretty good like conning of his own.
Yeah.
Which is it's sort of at first you think he's not, and then you're like, oh wait, no.
But he's totally so good at it because he's so deadpan. He's so quiet, and just his deliveries are top notch.
I really focus on, for obvious reasons, I focus on Charles Grodin's performance more this time.
He's a really big head.
I wasn't going to say that.
Well, he did have a big head.
Okay.
That's I noticed. Well, he's got a lot of face. He's got a lot of head when I was watching that last night.
Just better acting with that big old head of his.
Yeah. Well, most actors have giant heads.
Like his acting gland in his brain was bigger than other people's. But just that whole scene in the plane, like he's furtive. He's pulling at his tie,
biting his nails.
And it's bullshit. But then
I
didn't
know it was bullshit. I forgot that it was bullshit.
I guess when I was a kid, I was like, that's exactly what I would just. There's no fucking way I'm getting on this plane.
But then I was thinking, well, if I was to do that, then I have to make a scene. I might be a little too embarrassed to make a scene.
Better than having your brains blown out.
I take like 8 hours later.
So then they wind up on a train. It's it's the obvious
trains,
comparison
planes,
is trains.
Yeah.
It's like trains, planes, and automobiles with a
Niro,
lot more F words.
Through a lot of it, he's impersonating an FBI officer while doing.
He's impersonating Alonzo Mosley. Every time I watch, I'm like,
lifts his ID.
There's no way he could have done it. Every time I'm like, he doesn't
because he's in the front seat and De Niro's in the back seat.
Yeah, even on the sidewalk, he couldn't have done it.
Yeah, because he could have gone.
There's a moment where you can see his hand disappears on the side. It's something I've watched for it when I'm watching.
Okay, because I'm always watching for it. I never see it.
You can you could slow it down and find it, kind of thing.
Because I assumed that it would be one of the two guys in the back seat because he's right there. They're just crunched right in there. It would have been easy to steal those, but then it's not as funny.
But he's stolen the identity of the Alfred Kodo character.
Yeah.
And this is where they introduced the sunglass joke.
Yeah,
which is such a nice little touch.
Yeah,
oh, really is.
Just like leaving each other's sunglasses.
Well, it's funny. It's funny because even later on, when he wrecks the car, the stolen FBI car, and he leaves the sunglasses on the steering wheel, and Charles Grodin asks, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, it's just a private joke between me and."
It's an in-joke.
Yeah, which is it's a weird thing to say because it's what a normal person would say.
Yeah,
but in the movie, it seemed weird to me. I don't know, but it was good. It was a good line.
It has a really weird tone because I never just laugh out loud. Like I'll smile and grin through the movie, but I find this movie like so incredibly dark and very close to even just being a drama.
Really?
In terms of the humor, I really do. I know it sounds odd.
No. I agree with you.
I know
I agree
it's
with
a comedy.
Yeah.
It's very. I don't find.
Well, it's not a like ha 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 ha
no,
comedy.
not at all.
Oh, I was ha ha ha.
I actually laughed out loud a number of times by myself last night.
Like this passes Mark Kermode's 5 laugh test.
Oh, okay. Is that a test?
Yeah, Mark Kermode's got this thing where at the BBC, he considers it a successful comedy if you can make him laugh 5 times.
No, that
seems pretty reasonable.
And I'd say I probably laughed.
I could five times in that easily.
I laughed at least 5 times.
And honestly, it's a good. Well, I agree with Alex though because the comedy is character based.
Yeah.
You know, it's not necessarily
great
like
dialogue.
zingers, but it's just,
and great dialogue and banter, like because it has a banter feel.
Yeah.
You feel like everybody's bantering all the time.
But it's not at all like a movie with jokes per se. I find this movie's like directed at even it wasn't that far off from just being a dark drama.
I agree.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think when I saw it the first time in the theater, I think that's the takeaway I got from it. And so that's why I probably didn't enjoy it as much as I did watching it last night.
Or it wasn't as memorable either, right?
But I remember liking it, but I thought it was just okay.
Mm-hmm. Like I love Dylan's enthusiasm for it, but there's parts where you're like, and then the sunglasses, like you're just.
I think the sunglasses is hilarious.
I'm not putting that down at all, but it's just the way you're describing it. I don't know. It just feels like you're describing a much lighter movie than what I saw.
It's a pretty light movie.
I find this movie very.
But this time watching it, because it's been a while since I've seen it, and I usually just think of it as a comedy, but this time, especially because Robin was watching it, and it's like, oh right, there's way more action in this than I remember. There's
helicopters, there's car chases,
poignant. There's like a lot more poignant.
It was longer than
moments.
I remembered too.
It's way long. It's too long, actually. I think, but
it's a little
2 hours and 6 minutes is long for this kind of film.
It flies by. I suppose they could have lost a couple of scenes. But
yeah, there's a couple they could have done with it, but it's fine.
But I guess just the way you were talking about the scene, like, or about that particular joke or whatever with the sunglasses.
Well,
it sounded a lot more lighter. Like you're appreciating a much lighter film. I don't know.
I agree with you.
But it's funny. I like that little. Game going on between them.
I like that, and there's a lot of the humor. I'm just now realizing is in the performances. Mm-hmm. That little
you
bit,
just realize
like,
this now?
Like when they're having I'm thinking of the moments that I really laugh at aren't necessarily funny on paper.
Right.
That whole "you lied to me first" conversation that they have.
It's funny.
But it's largely because of their performances. Yeah. They're both so committed to this idiotic argument.
And then Grodin getting the last little jab.
but you lied to me first.
Yeah. Two kids.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's the Odd Couple with guns.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a really good formula. I wish they made more movies like this.
They do make a lot of movies like this, but most of them don't work very well. Because the script writing is not good, but they don't have the chemistry. The two leads, like those two guys work so well together.
It's totally but this is like one of the oldest traditions. It's like the Crosby Hope Road movies, like the buddy road trip, and they just rub each other.
Well, when I was reading about just the background stuff today, the studios and even like the critics were like, "Oh, another one of these buddy cop movie, blah blah blah." But then, for the most part, most of the people really liked it.
Yeah,
I'm one of them.
That's formula, but it's an old tried and true.
Yeah, I have nothing but praise. Yeah.
I don't know if
this movie.
I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but there's a lot of people smoking cigarettes in this movie.
Oh yeah,
and eating at the same time.
1988,
but smoking everywhere, which I've always loved seeing that in movies, like in restaurants, on planes.
Yeah,
like
people go to the bathroom to have a smoke.
No, I just like sit there.
Yeah.
Do you want smoking?
Brushing
There's
your
that
teeth.
line when John Ashton's character is going to buy a plane ticket, and he's smoking right on the in front of the woman or the guy, and it's like, do you want smoking or non-smoking? What do you think?
Take a wild guess.
That's why I always wait for the airplane joke from the movie Airplane, where they smoking or non-smoking, smoking, and you give them the smoking ticket.
The ticket. It's
ridiculous.
That's
my favorite reference to smoking in a movie ever.
Wow.
And that's another good running joke is just that Alonzo Mosley keeps stealing Marv's cigarettes.
No, yeah.
And then at the end, it's like, watch your cigarettes around this guy, Jack. I mean, just everybody has good moments.
Yeah. There's one really funny line. I think when they're on the airplane, and there's a kid watching them.
I love it.
Yeah, and that's De Niro doctoring his
committing fraud.
Yeah. No, but there's a line that Charles Grodin, when he says to a kid, he said, "Aren't you like a criminal?" And he goes, "I'm just a white collar criminal."
He goes, that's at his ex-wife's house.
Is that where that is?
You don't look like a criminal.
That's
I'm
right.
I'm white collar.
I'm a white collar criminal.
Like
a kid's gonna know what that is.
You brought up earlier how like De Niro shows up asking for money, and it goes so wrong, like that scene, and to add on top of everything else, like he's all over the news as a fugitive, and he's bringing this fellow criminal to like this wanted criminal who's being shot at to the house where the kids are and stuff.
And the cop lives there.
Yeah, and the cop lives there. It's just such a
Yeah, and then he slags him off.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have any bribe money for your husband.
But then,
like, get out of my house,
but then-
asshole ex-husband.
But then it ends in a really nice little bit with the daughter coming out and giving,
offer.
or wanted to give De Niro all of
It's-
her money she saved.
Babysitting
money.
And it always that scene always it does take me out of the movie, just because it's not the back and forth banter. It's not not exploding cars or whatever. It really is just this sweet little oasis in the middle of all the chaos.
Yeah, which is I thought.
But I'm always like, oh God, I really hope he like writes her a letter or something. Like I always have. I
Did that happen in the
fill
sequel?
in like how this father-daughter relationship should go. I don't know. This movie just I don't know. I kind of want there to be a sequel just so I could see him. So I could see him open his coffee shop and like repair the relationship with his daughter.
You're still waiting for that sequel.
Because it's been 9 years. Oh, well, again, like Josie was saying, I think they actually did. Yeah, there was a TV movie that was a sequel to Midnight Run, and then they tried to make a series.
But was he running a coffee shop in the series?
No, he was still. He was.
not.
I think it was a
still bounty
prequel. It was like Temple of Doom. It was like when he was in Bounty Hunter School or something. I don't know.
By the way, they wanted badly to make one of the networks wanted to do a Beverly Hills Cop series and offered Eddie Murphy a lot of money to go back to
I heard
television.
about
He
this.
was like, no thanks.
I heard he was going to do it, and I was very disappointed.
Just but that was but I mean literally in the 80s. It wasn't like years later.
No, I mean recently I've heard of there being a Beverly Hills. Although
Maybe,
you know
no,
the
but I mean,
Lethal,
TV series.
the
They are
Lethal
doing
Weapon
one, aren't
series wasn't bad though. I don't know if you ever saw the
I
Lethal Weapon
heard
series.
it was good, but I never saw it.
It's I think it's better than the movies. But anyway,
Not the first one.
well actually
I love the first one.
Oh, I'm
First one's
okay.
good.
I'm okay with Lethal Weapon.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah,
but
I wonder
I don't know how it holds up. to
Lethal
be
Weapon
honest.
kind of killed the buddy cop franchise
Well,
genre.
No, God, no, they kept going.
They're still
They,
making
they
them, aren't
beat that to death.
Bad cop, bad cop.
They beat it to death.
Bond cop, bad cop. Is,
They kept going.
leave it to the guy from Nova Scotia to think that was a hit.
Well, it was a,
It was a Canadian hit.
I actually
in
really
Quebec.
like Bond cop, bad cop.
never
There's
seen
a
it.
sequel.
Just thought about one of
There's
the
a
million
sequel, Bon
examples
Cop,
of-
Bad Cop 2.
Remember?
That's
right.
Which
Your
also wasn't
all-time
bad.
favorite, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yeah.
That's Well, we
The
won't
Nice
we won't get into
Guys.
my feelings on
Like
Shane
any
Black.
buddy movie, right?
Um,
Doesn't matter on their
No, but after like the
occupation,
fourth Lethal Weapon, everybody's just kind of like, all right,
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Like, can we move
They
on
were-
to
they were
something else?
Milking that too much. There.
Let's
I
move-
watched
let's move on to Will
before.
Ferrell
That's with
comedies.
Jet Li, right?
Yeah, I don't know what else is there to talk about with
There's a
Midnight Run.
Midnight Run.
I guess that's
There's
it.
lots.
or Charles Grodin for that matter. Because I always, for some reason, even when as big a fan of this movie as I am, I tend to think of I'm like, Charles Grodin, because he went and he made like Beethoven after this.
Clifford.
Wow.
I totally tuned out from those things.
Yeah.
And he also didn't make a movie for like 12 years.
I saw him.
If you look on the IMDb thing, for after the Beethoven movies, he didn't make another film until the 2000s.
Yeah, he doesn't have like a stellar resume for films. Like
He's got like
got
a few really good
ones
movies,
that-
like I think this movie,
and he was awesome on David Letterman.
yeah,
this movie could have
Yeah, I
been a
loved
big
those
hit,
Letterman
but the
appearances.
stumbling block was having Charles Grodin. Even though that's not a slam of his performance, I just
No.
mean, I mean, you'll never know. But just when you,
It's-
I guess it's kind of an obvious thing to say. But when you think back, like it had Cher
Yeah.
or Robin Williams been in it. I'm not saying they would have been better or whatever. But I could see this could have been like a huge hit.
it did okay.
What
It
era?
did okay, but Grodin.
Well, it's one of his best roles, actually.
Yeah,
but-
but
Oh, it's
here-
probably
well,
it's probably his best.
Well, if
role.
you
I
think
haven't
of-
seen too much Grodin. I've seen Grodin, but not.
You
it's
can
not
never
like I
see
can
too
really
much
judge him
Grodin.
on all his roles, but
Heartbreak
'cause there's
Kid is
been-
good. You
there's
should
been
watch
times-
Heartbreak Kid.
We don't have that, do we?
when I can't tell
No,
if
we
he's
don't.
just really being good at annoying or if he's just
Yeah.
totally annoying.
I forgot he was in Rosemary's Baby. I think it
He
was
was,
like
yeah.
his
Yeah,
first
he didn't
movie.
have
I like
a
that
huge
one.
role.
But I don't know
No,
why.
but he's there.
Abraham Saperstein.
But every time I watch Midnight Run, I don't know why. When I'm not watching Midnight Run, in the rare times that I'm not watching this movie, I don't know why I think that about Charles Grodin. It's probably just because of those fucking Beethoven movies where I'm like, ugh, that guy.
Yeah.
He sure
Here-
did luck out with Midnight Run, but every time I watch it, he's great. I mean,
he's
he's
in the 70s King Kong, too. He's
That's
like
right.
the explorer guy. But around the time of the Beethoven movies, I saw him on an episode of Letterman, Charles Grodin. And
Who?
Letterman was really riding Charles Grodin about, hey, it's the guy in those Beethoven movies. And Grodin came on and basically kept winning out in every little, like he was
Yep.
kind of like a
yeah, he's
put-down
terrific on
contest.
Letterman.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
good. I watched a clip of him on Carson this afternoon. And he's just so good at that deadpan kind of put down.
I used to tape his appearances if I was working, because I worked in a bar, and I would tape his appearances on Letterman
they were always
or
good.
Carson when he was on.
He was also in a much hyped but flop Farrah Fawcett movie called Sunburn.
That's correct. I saw Sunburn. I saw Sunburn.
You saw Sunburn?
Well,
I've never seen Sunburn.
It's terrible.
He was in
I thought it was terrible when I was a teenager and loved Farrah Fawcett. I still thought it was terrible.
You know it's going to be even worse now.
I was too young.
Even the title of that is terrible. Sunburn.
Because nobody likes sunburns.
It was like a cheesy summer.
Especially being a redhead, you must even hate it even more.
Comedy,
they're deadly.
They didn't focus on the teens hardly, and it was just dull and boring. And
that's Sunburn.
Yeah,
and
the
sequel
not really not worth seeing. I don't
sequel
think.
is Peeling.
Peeling, yeah.
And then the next one is
Skin cancer.
Melanoma.
Yeah, melanoma.
They got darker as the series went on.
Odd-shaped mole.
Yeah. Pustules.
I don't know. He turns up in things, and he's always good.
Yeah.
He's in While We're Young, which is a movie that I already really like. And
Is that the one we're talking about the other day?
The Noah Baumbach.
That's a great little film.
It's
actually.
really, really good.
Yeah.
You know, and then he was on. I want to say Curb Your Enthusiasm, but I don't think that's it. No, it was Gervais. No, not Gervais. Louis. God.
Louis.
He was on Louis. He was good on Louis.
Which asshole comedian am I trying to think of? Right, it's Louis. I mean, there's just I don't know. There's not much to talk about plot wise about this movie because
but there's we're talking about the nice little funny moments in it.
Yeah.
One that I remembered was that I really liked when they're in the restaurant and they're really hungry. They're there for breakfast, and the waitress is saying what the special of the day is.
Chorizo and eggs.
Chorizo, and he's like, "What's that?" It's a Mexican sausage, and he's like, "I want chorizo."
It's funny you brought that up.
Yeah,
because today I had to run an errand. I had to go just further east van on the bus.
Whoa.
And coming back.
The Heart of Darkness.
I know.
The connecting bus I had to get back to our
Joy
neighborhood.
Station.
By complete coincidence.
Yeah,
was
he had to
in
go
front
murder
of,
Kurtz over there.
By complete coincidence, the bus stopped in front of Duffin's, you know, the donut sandwich place. I went in there because I was actually quite hungry.
Coincidence.
No, it was. And I went in there. I hadn't been in there in years. And I went in there and I looked at the sandwich menu and there was a chorizo and egg sandwich. So I got it because of this movie.
Right. Yeah.
This movie. I didn't intend it, but I saw it there on the menu.
Because
like
Midnight Run sold a chorizo sandwich.
Right, sold a chorizo sandwich based on what Charles Grodin said today. And I got it home. I ate it at home, and it was absolutely delicious.
They should rename that sandwich the Grodin.
No, I didn't eat it.
Yeah, there you go. The Charles Grodin.
They didn't have picnic tables.
Or do you have to be Jewish to get a sandwich named after you?
I got a delicious donut too, and
I don't think so.
That's good. That's a good story.
I'm glad to know Duffin's is
Duffins.
still alive and kicking, and Charles Grodin is dead.
Duffins, but I was inspired.
I don't know. That came out really weird.
It did.
It did. Yeah, it's kind of bitter.
Even while watching
like
the movie,
Duffin's
it wasn't
donut won over that war.
It wasn't like I'm gonna go get a chorizo and egg
chorizo
food now or something like that. It just by coincidence I see on the menu there chorizo and egg, so I got the.
You keep saying chorizo
because you know why? Because he wanted Cher to be in this movie.
Oh, I thought it was. We have a customer who has a similar name to the word chorizo, and I think you're kind of mixing the two up.
Is that the woman that ran for mayor? Is that what we're talking about? Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to name names.
No,
but a local eccentric. We'll just say that.
That's why it's in the script. Yeah, because they kept saying Charles Grodin, and they're like, but I want Cher's. Wait a minute.
Cher
chorizo? But I want Cher, though. I don't know.
That drove a long way for that one.
There, I'll tell you.
Cher Ezo. But like there's so many. I mean, I first noticed it with the kid on the plane, and I always think of that kid, as having just like the awesomest thing. Mm-hmm. Like I was a kid next to Robert De Niro, and I have one line where it looks fine to me, and there's this weird naturalistic performances from a lot of the clerks and stuff. Like when what later in the movie when Jack is like he's lost Charles Grodin and he's been bested by Marvin,
which happens all the time in this movie. You know, every time it happens, like, how are they going to get out of this? How is he going to get him back? Like, how is this going to work out? And it always does.
It does.
Like the only one that did not work for me is when they came off the bus. And all the mob snipers were waiting, and then 100,000 cops show up.
Well,
and then
then you still open fire,
but then miss everybody by like a lot. Like these snipers wouldn't have got them anyways because they're terrible shots.
And
then they escape and nobody notices that they escape until it's too late. I know that was one of those little things, that little plot contrivances didn't work for me in this movie, but very small things to pick apart.
Yeah, that one always does kind of stick out. No, but and
the plane.
There's another character.
Yeah, that's pointless.
The guy in the diner,
so
the guy in the diner who lights his cigarette when Jack goes into the diner at the end. Mm-hmm. That guy's somebody. I can't remember.
So say that again?
I'm talking about all the weird little secondary characters who only have like one line.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about the chorizo and eggs lady, and she gives this really naturalistic performance where she's describing the chorizo and eggs, where you think, is this an actual waiter? Like I don't, are these actual actors, or did they actually find some local character and just give them a line? Like that kid.
You do know that a lot of actors work as waitstaff,
as servers, yes,
servers, and probably could channel that pretty well.
But a lot of actors would also have one line with De Niro and Grodin and
be so starstruck around Charles Grodin that
you
just forget your
well, I would. He was in the Great Muppet Caper. Come on.
I'm pretty sure Martin Brest, even if it was a seasoned actress, made her do a lot of takes.
Well, apparently he did.
He's like a Stanley
kind
Kubrick
of famous
type
for that kind.
Unless he just hated Yaphet Kotto, made him do a whole bunch of takes.
I think I saw him where he said something about like it's all in the editing, and that made me think this is one of these people who does a lot of different takes,
right?
Because you get a different flow.
Yeah.
When you have I bet you there's versions of some of those jokes and some of those bits that that don't hit.
Yeah.
Because they just didn't have that oomph on that 48th take.
Well, how do you maintain that doing it so much? Like Kubrick was obviously famous for that too.
That makes it a big budget film, because one of the most expensive things making films when this film was made
is
film.
Yeah.
Because that stuff's
it's expensive.
It's really expensive.
Yeah. And then
high shooting ratio.
Well, and there's a high shooting ratio, but the editing. This is something I wanted to mention about the film, is that the editing for a film that's would you say it was
2 hours and 6 minutes?
It goes by pretty quick, in my opinion. I'm sure there's some things you could cut and trim and whatever if you really wanted to get a more svelte picture, but.
Well,
I feel like it goes by quickly.
You say svelte?
Yeah. Well, it's a word I've been throwing into my vocabulary more recently.
Svelte is great. I usually I go for shorter or streamlined, concise, but svelte is even that's poetic.
Right. You could make your film shorter. It's not terribly glamorous, is it?
No.
You could, but you want to make your film svelte. It's not that it's shorter. It's that it goes by quicker and nicer,
and it's better dressed.
It's more pleasing to look at in its form
and its svelteness.
Its svelteness than something that's not svelte.
It's almost up there with quaint.
But Alex and I were just mentioning that plane scene where he steals the airplane. Totally pointless scene. That whole bit, like I liked it, but it didn't need to be in the movie.
I think
it didn't. They
should have taken flight. That would have been more interesting. Like he gets in the plane and Grodin flies for a while, and then just grounding him and being like, "You lied to me," and then stealing the truck.
Yeah,
like in Silver Streak.
It's
always a biplane.
The movies are similar in a lot of ways.
Very similar.
Yeah.
I like this movie better than Silver Streak, and I like Silver Streak.
I like it a lot more than Silver Streak.
I preferred Silver Streak.
Huh?
Yeah.
I do also really like Silver Streak. I've never really thought to compare them. I've definitely watched Midnight Run more times.
Yeah,
but that's probably till I'd kind of forgotten about Silver Streak until we got the DVD when we first opened, and I was like, oh yeah, this movie.
Did you watch it again?
I did right away, actually, because I bought the movie at Charlie's.
Oh.
For the store, because I was like, "Oh, we don't have this," and I forgot. I loved this when I was a kid.
Yeah,
I saw it at the drive-in.
Yeah, I saw it
with my in the back of my mom was dating this guy who had a big Cadillac, and it had the round back in the seats, like it was rounded.
Oh,
really?
Wow.
Yeah. And they sat in the front. They brought me. I don't know why they brought me to the drive-in.
They're sitting in the wrong seats,
right?
You should be in front.
So I'm sitting in the back. They thought I would fall asleep or something, I guess.
Were they making out while you were watching the movie?
No, because I was watching the movie, and they were felt weird that I was up watching the movie.
Still asleep.
They really misjudged how I like to watch movies.
Yeah. Or how much little kids like Gene Wilder, or appreciate homages to Hitchcock.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's what you were. You're like, this is just like Hitchcock.
I was not that sort of.
Were you watching Body Double?
I was just at that time. I was just a kid who liked movies. I didn't
You
become a
still
film.
are.
I didn't become a film snob until university.
There you go.
When I became a film student accidentally, because
But you were studying to be.
they screwed up, and they screwed up my registration, which was on punch cards back then. They had those little cards with the holes in them.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yep. So anyway, apparently they entered in half of my stuff, and then didn't enter the rest of my choices for classes.
Oh.
So when I got there, I had to register late because they screwed up. I saw, I couldn't take a lot of the things I'd wanted to take, which were history and English and stuff. And there was a film class, and I was like, I didn't even notice this. And like one of your classes, you just watch a movie. And then the other class, you talk about the movie. And then you write some papers about them, like English. Oh, okay, I'm going to do this. And within a couple of films, the first one being City Lights, I think we watched, I was like, okay, this is my major.
The Power of Chaplin.
The Power of Chaplin and Keaton and all the, like, we watched a lot of early films. Like the most modern film we saw early on, and that was, what's his name's last film? Truffaut's last film with...
I don't know. I only know like
Jacqueline Bisset.
Fahrenheit 450.
No, that's in the 60s. With Jacqueline Bisset and Day for Night.
I took film class in grade 12, thinking it would be fun.
Yeah.
But then
we had to watch Truffaut.
No, then we had to and so I would get baked to go to class, and then he puts on like Koyaanisqatsi.
Oh God.
And it's just like, what? I think it was a punishment for showing up high.
But that would have been cool.
Like it was gonna be Cheech and Chong or something. And he saw that we were all really stoned.
It was gonna be Cheech and Chong.
So he puts on or like Terminator, but it says like, we're gonna watch all of those Koyaanisqatsi films, and then you're gonna tell me in detail like why it's significant and the techniques and all that. And we had to watch
who was your teacher?
You would have
Trudeau?
hated it. It was a Jack Lemmon movie. Was it called Missing?
I like that movie.
It is, but when you're 17, it's just like
you're probably like, what's going on? Because it's fairly complicated. You got to know a little bit of history about the subject matter too.
It's funny you said that because I saw Missing only once. I saw it,
and then
on TV when I was a teenager. I just happened to watch it on like Sunday afternoon when I was home, and it brought tears to my eyes. And not because I knew all the history and stuff, but it's just basically, regardless even of the political context, which of course is important to that movie, it's just like the guy goes missing and the family is so heartbroken.
There's a lot of crashed cars,
well, especially at the end when they have like a lot of
It's a Swedish chef.
Yes, a lot of cop cars. Like and helicopter chasing the one.
Yeah, it was like, getting a little Blues Brothers.
Getting a little Blues Brothers.
It's like it has a Thelma and Louise moment where they stop in the middle of the road, and then all of a sudden it goes into the Blues Brothers.
Yeah,
and I always love seeing cop cars.
Me too.
Cannonball running it. Like,
well, I also
take that copper.
I like that era of cop cars, the 70s and 80s American cop cars.
Where you stick the light to the top. It always reminds me of Kojak.
Well, I love it when they do that, when they put the light on top.
Well, there's one when De Niro steals the car and it's just hanging. He doesn't know what to do. They're just hanging in it. That's pretty funny.
Oh, man. But like on the highway, there's good car stunts.
Yeah.
Well, I always love a high-speed chase through like a heavily populated, a very popular highway that is heavily populated. But like weaving, I always love. It's a cliche that I see all the time.
Yeah, I know
you're behind a rig, and then you try and go into the oncoming traffic, and there's another car coming.
That's actually done pretty well in this one.
Yeah.
But the movies, like you can like the way they're always set up. Like the cars are perfectly spaced out, so you could the speeding car could just like bob and weave in and out of them. Like people don't drive like that ever on the highway.
No.
Try that on the 401.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're morons.
Did you say 401?
Yeah.
Oh.
401.
I don't drive, so that's my reference that
the
people
Ontario
go.
highway?
Oh yeah. Josie knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
I thought that was L.A. I thought 401 was L.A.
It's Toronto.
Oh yeah.
I'd never been to L.A. I don't know.
I've been to L.A. It's nice.
Yeah, I like LA.
If you were wealthy, it would be fucking
great. I bet it would be a cool place to be wealthy.
Spent a few days in Venice Beach. Really liked it.
Yeah,
Surprised.
I
bought flu vogs for $30.
I did the exact thing with the flu bugs. I spent a few days on Venice Beach a few years ago, and it was a blast.
It's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I like the crashing cars.
Yeah, me too.
And I like the blowing up helicopter, and this just the stunts in general. If you take into account that like falling down the stairs or getting punched in the face is a stunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People get punched, and if you were like a doctor of brains
Right. Oh, I was thinking about that earlier today.
It's like, isn't that a Metallica album?
Yeah, so
Doctor of Brains.
That brain doctor.
No, but it's like you can't just punch somebody. You know how hard you have to be hit to be knocked unconscious? I was knocked out cold for about 10 seconds once.
Sorry about that.
It was I did drop Forrest Gump and scratch it.
No,
I flew into a rage.
I gave you a medal for that, I thought.
Raging Darren.
Darren slapped me once for not putting out the return box.
Life is like a box of concussions. That's what Darren always says. But
you never know. You always know what you're going to get.
You just don't go to sleep.
Life is
like it was a Surrey high school punk gig in the 90s. So anybody in Surrey in the 90s listening...
I bet my wife was there. She might have knocked you
out. No, I knocked myself out.
Oh,
because it was stupid. I was looking for my friends in this group outside of the theater. You know, it was like it was a band called the Seamen. I know it's a long story. It's one of these.
Don't need to know it.
One of these gigs. Well, there was a kid named Jesse Cadman who got killed, and he was in a band called the Seamen. Anyway, whatever. It was a fundraiser, but I was standing on top of this I guess like a kind of like a bench, and I didn't realize that there was a low-hanging 2x4 coming down from the roof of the building. And I heard, "Hey, Dylan!" and I turned around and just ran right into it.
Wow.
It was like a pure slapstick, and then I fell off the thing I was standing on, and I knocked myself unconscious. Long story short,
Too late.
Knocked myself unconscious for about 5 seconds, and that fucking ruined me. But you can't just punch someone.
No.
And then be unconscious long enough for you to steal a car and drive away. This happens like 6 or 7 times.
I've been knocked unconscious before as well.
That's something I've always laughed about in movies in general, though. Like
the one punch that knocks someone out. Yeah. But I got knocked out playing hockey one time. I got hit from behind, head first in the boards, and the next thing I know, I saw the boards coming. Next thing I know, I'm looking up, and there's a whole bunch of people standing around me. So I was out for, I don't know, a minute or two.
Was it Todd Bertuzzi?
Yeah, yeah. I was.
Did he ruin your hockey career too?
I was 10 years old.
I got knocked out playing street hockey.
Wait a minute.
Street hockey.
Do I have the right guy?
Yep.
Bertuzzi?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got knocked out playing street hockey. I'm the kid that everyone's been warned about. I got a slap shot in the nuts.
Oh.
And I didn't have on a cup because it was like street hockey with you.
Because
they
don't have any that go that big.
I should have worn one.
And you got it knocked you out?
It knocked me out. And eyewitness
accounts
say
nuts?
the ball was like stuck between kind of like the thigh pads.
Oh my God.
It was one of those orange hockey balls.
Oh, I've been hit. I've been hit.
And you also had orange hockey balls.
I sure did.
I was playing ball hockey one time, but I was wearing a cup. And I got dude drilled a slap shot at me and hit me right in the cup, and I just collapsed. And I was laying on the rink.
Yeah.
The ball went back to me, and he shot it again, hit me in the back as I was laying there. And everybody started laughing. The refs were laughing. Both teams were laughing. The goalies were laughing.
That's what
Everyone
you get.
was laughing at me.
Yeah.
I got hit in the balls. I played softball, and I was the only kid on the team who didn't wear a cup because I thought they were ridiculous.
Right.
And I was the only kid on the team who got hit with a pitch. Like they pitched it right into my nuts.
So you got hit right in the softballs.
I still can't decide if I dislike Charles Grodin because he's given a really good performance as a dislikable person, or
he's not
if it's just because I
dislikable at all.
don't like Charles Grodin.
He's the good guy. He's like the only good guy in the entire movie.
Character. I'm talking about his performance.
There is a moment I noticed when I was rewatching it this afternoon where they're on the train and they're talking about chicken wings, and of course we all ate too many chicken wings. Everyone in this room is guilty of that.
I ate some last night.
So did I. And arterial sclerosis and all this whole thing, and then they get up. And Jack pays the bill, but he only leaves like a 12% tip.
13%.
13%. But Charles Grodin, it's such a great performance because he's still talking to Jack, but he's distracted while he's doing the math in his head. And it's in the script. He's not really doing the math or whatever, but it's just this little detail that Grodin brought to it that just makes it so much richer and more realistic. And also he's on the run from the mob. He's got all the problems in the world. And he still takes the time to be concerned about the server. It's like,
but again,
tell
the
them
film
they survive
where it's
on these tips.
Going a bit too long, like the airplane scene. Like they should have just had De Niro try his card then and get. I still thought it was an example of the film being a bit too long.
I love that Marvin cancels his card.
Because
I didn't love that.
Well, because you think Marvin's like a complete doofus, useless.
No, he's a good bounty hunter.
He's got some skills when it comes. Like he knows how to find out where he was. Grodin and De Niro are, and then cancels his credit card to fuck him up.
Is it really that easy to cancel someone else's
I don't know. In
card?
the movies, it is.
Well, no, but they're bounty hunters, so they both have these. Well, I love the relationship between Jack and Marvin because they probably run into each other once a week. They hate each other's guts.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of reminds me of John Cusack and Dan Aykroyd in Grosse Point Blank. Same line of work.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Grosse Point Blank. It's not really the same line
Even
of
though
work.
I don't like
they're
them.
assassins,
They're
not bounty hunters. But yeah, editing, music.
Yeah, it's all good.
Makeup.
Well, the music.
Oh, the makeup was
80s
outstanding.
Cop show.
Yeah, the music. That's probably the only thing that's really dated about this movie is the Danny Elfman, the sexy sax and the guitar solo, the wanking guitar solo.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's.
I got it.
Licks.
But I think
I'm kind of nostalgic. Like when you said the wanky guitar solo, I was like, aw.
Yeah, I used to have a guitar.
I've never liked it then, and I like it even less now.
Yeah, sure, sure.
It's earnest, and it's not ironic at all, and it's not trying to be cool. It's just trying to be entertaining.
My thing about this movie is that it's a movie like there's a few movies like this in my life that objectively it's not a great film, but it's a film I can watch almost endlessly.
Yeah.
And I could point out lots of flaws about how long it is or little bits here and there and stuff about, it's not whatever. But for some reason that I think is maybe ephemeral, just who I am, I can watch this movie a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched it a bunch of times.
It hums along. It's got a good pace.
There's buddy cop movies I probably would argue are better somehow.
It's never boring.
But I this is probably my favorite of those kind of movies where with the two guys on the run.
I love those kinds of movies. I mean, this and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I couldn't tell you which one I love more.
I've only seen that Plane, Trains, and Automobiles a couple of times. I really liked it both times I saw it, but
it's still really funny.
Is it? I haven't seen it in quite a while.
It absolutely holds up. I think it's great.
Well, it's because John Candy and Steve Martin they're so funny together. Such great chemistry, like these two.
Yeah. And the thing is,
they make it work.
I'm trying to because this was my first Robert De Niro movie, and so I've always known that Robert De Niro can do comedy. I wonder if you'd only ever seen like Goodfellas and Casino and everything, it would probably be a genuine shock that. Because like he was fine and analyzed this. He's fine in Meet the Parents. I can't even.
I don't find his some brilliant comic performance that he gives in this movie.
I think it was a pretty brilliant comic performance.
But he's just
he's no Rupert Pupkin though.
A dramatic actor.
He's more the straight guy to Charles Grodin's deadpan humor.
He's definitely got some it's a funnier performance than some of his.
Yeah.
But that's because of the dialogue and the script, right?
And he's totally committed to it as well. I mean, it's
before he gave up.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's before De Niro gave up on doing like whatever, unless he felt like it. Like there's a few movies after this.
Yeah.
And he does it right. One of those is
Grudge Match.
No.
I kind of like Grudge Match.
Grudge Match is okay.
See Grudge Match
is okay. But to me,
Stallone.
after this movie, his kind of like next movie that I thought was like a different but good performance from him, from De Niro was Flawless with Philip Seymour Hoffman.
I didn't see that one.
Where Philip Seymour Hoffman plays this old queen who lives upstairs from him, maybe trans. They don't really talk about that in the movie, and it's irrelevant. But it's just he's a very different person, and De Niro's like this conservative old guy who's crusty, and another former cop or something. But he gives it that same kind of thing he gives it in this that in lots of his later movies he doesn't really bother with.
He just shows
up. He just sort of shows up and does the thing and mumbles, does some De Niro stuff that people like, but he doesn't give you a real De Niro performance, which I think Midnight Run qualifies for. It's one of those canon De Niro movies.
Well, he deals with some funny stuff in this movie, but I don't find him especially funny in the movie.
I
do.
I agree. Well, I think he's funny because he is approaching a comedic script with the same level of intensity that he did as Jake LaMotta
he actually hung out with police and bounty hunters to research the role. But we were talking about this earlier at like typical De Niro performance. He says like a lot of his lines twice, and sometimes even more than that, just for emphasis to make it a little more dramatic and almost menacing. Like that's just a sort of a style that he has.
I just thought of another moment I love.
Tell us.
When he's in the payphone, and he's like, "I will shoot him in the fucking head and leave him in a ditch." And then he looks at Charles Grodin and he just goes like, shakes his head like, "No."
I actually laughed out loud when I was watching that. I thought I might have woken
moment.
up my wife or something because she was already in bed, and that was really funny.
Just anytime someone
Yeah,
gets,
that's perfect comic line delivery.
every character hates every other character in this movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's remarkable. You could have a screenplay where just everybody hates everybody.
because
The sequel is actually just Dennis Farina stabbing everyone with a pencil.
Just going around with the number 2 pencil. Oh, that's what. There was something about. Oh yeah, I mean, where the movie kind of loses me is the big plan at the end at the airport. I just don't believe that a mob boss.
Yeah.
And a bunch of them would just show up. Everyone's just waving guns around.
Yeah.
It's like I remember watching Lethal Weapon, and there's a moment in Lethal Weapon where Australian guy, racist.
Paul Hogan.
Well, maybe he's racist. I don't know. No,
what movie are you talking
famous racist Australian.
Mel Gibson.
Yeah, Mel Gibson.
Famous. That sounds like a game show category.
For 200,
famous
Alex.
racist Australian.
Just Jeopardy. Rupert Murdoch. Guess again.
Who is Russell Crowe?
Oh no!
Actually,
no.
I don't know if
there's
he's
so many of
racist.
them.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Crocodile Hunter hates alligators. Anyway, no, but Mel Gibson's running through the streets near the end of Lethal Weapon, like with no shirt, with a fucking AK-47. He's like running through the streets of Los Angeles.
And this was even
and
the
people
movie.
are just like, they have extras who are just like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's just some guy running the street with an AK-47. In Midnight Run at the end, it's like Marvin has a gun. Like he grabs the Duke, he grabs Charles Grodin, and he's just got a gun to his ribs. Like in an airport? I know it was before 9/11, but
he
come on.
was going to get on the plane with the gun in his carry-on.
Yeah. Well, I think he probably would have checked it or whatever. He probably has some kind of
Maybe.
permit.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think
he's a bounty hunter.
But Die Hard has the same issue.
Yeah.
Where it's like in the beginning, he's got a loaded gun on a plane. I'm like, I don't care if you are a fucking cop. I don't think you're allowed to get on. Or maybe you could. Maybe they didn't even have metal detectors in the 80s. I don't know.
I remember, like, I think the first Kill Bill movie, what's her face? Uma Thurman's character is coming back from Japan, and she's got her samurai sword.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
In the seat with her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Probably not allowed. Now.
White privilege.
Yeah.
You can just carry any old sword on any old plane.
Yeah.
When you're Uma Thurman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I mean, Elvis brought a gun to the White House.
Yeah, sure.
But speaking of, not Elvis. My God, I was going to say Richard Nixon. Philip Baker Hall.
Hoffman.
Yep.
No, Philip Baker. Shut up. Shut up. Not Dylan Baker.
Joe Don.
God, now I'm confused.
Dylan McDermott.
No, he only has two names. You gotta have a
Dylan
third
Thomas
name person.
McDillan. No, we have a movie here where Philip Baker Hall plays Richard Nixon.
Oh, right.
It is a...
That's
Secret Honor.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Robert
Yeah,
Altman movie.
which was not available for ages. Yeah.
Anyway, I never knew it even existed.
Yeah.
It was a highly sought after film back in
everyone's
the
just
day.
waving guns around. But they do kind of establish it because Philip Baker Hall says to Dennis Farina, like, send a guy with money. Like, this is stupid. And Serrano's just like, no, I know this Jack Walsh. They get around these little plot contrivances because they sort of write in that the characters are somewhat flawed or. Like, it didn't really take me out of the movie, but I did wonder why everybody was allowed to be walking around in an airport with a loaded gun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody. Everyone's a Fed or a mobster. Like, they're just sitting there in the cafeteria. The only person who's not a mobster or a Fed is the kid who works at Taco Bell. Like, everybody else has got a gun, and they're kind of looking around like, I'm just here for...
Well, it's the commissary at the end of Blazing Saddles or something, you know.
Well, the thing is, I like the way it worked because there wasn't a shootout, which I'm happy with. A shootout would have been boring, because shootouts are always boring.
Yeah.
Unless it's like Sam Peckinpah movie or something like that. But yeah, then it just ends. He gets arrested, and
Serrano's got the discs.
But the ending, there's two bits of the ending that I liked a lot. One when Charles Grodin gives him his money belt, and it's full of $1,000 bills. Like, what the fuck are you gonna do with a $1,000 bill?
$1,000 bills.
If it was full of ones, it wouldn't have been as impressive.
Well, hundreds would have been a little more, maybe.
Yeah.
Thousands.
It's like wrinkled $1 bills from the strip club.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, some of them have blood on it. But then
it's a change purse, like whenever they run, it goes jingle jangle.
Yeah. But yeah, then he goes to pay for his cab. Can you break 1,000? And I think the cab driver swears at him. Of course.
I love that ending because you got that New York cabbie going like, "Get out of here, you bum!" And
it was in Los Angeles, though, isn't it?
Clearly put there in post. Oh, it is LA. You're right. And I love that last line where Jack just goes, "I guess it looks like I'm walking." And he just starts walking.
Actually, the best scene at the end there was when he leaves and he turns around to Jack's leaving Charles Grodin by the phone booth, and he turns around and he's just gone.
He's just gone.
Just gone. I thought that was just a good little poignant scene.
I've always liked that moment.
Yeah.
But knowing that Charles Grodin is no longer with us, it seemed a little more. I won't lie. I got a little bit teary.
I did
little damp around the eyelashes, because I was like, oh, that's a really, really sweet little farewell.
Mm-hmm.
And that last scene of the whole time he said 300,000.
Yeah,
like he didn't pat him down, which means Charles Grodin must have been wearing that money belt when he was just hanging out at home with his wife and his dog.
Yeah,
but
basically,
I guess you would have to though, just like at any
I
point.
was thinking, what was the point of the dog scene? Like he could just
could have been trimmed.
He could have just went in and just got him, but he had to be cornered by the dog in the shower. Like that didn't really.
I thought I was going to make some big dog phobia joke later or something.
But what I did,
could have been trimmed.
I also really liked the whole sequence where you see Jack's process in how he, he's got friends on the force, and then he goes to New York and he does the phone call trick, and then you see just how inventive this guy is. But the one thing he didn't account for was his fucking dog.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a little bit of foreshadowing that this guy plans really well, but
things always fall apart.
But there's always it's chaos theory, which hadn't been invented yet. It took Jeff Goldblum to make us realize that the best laid plans of mice and men.
Yeah, nature finds a way.
Few insults I wanted to throw in that I thought were particularly good. Marvin says, "If you move, I'll tear your fucking lungs out."
Yeah, but who did he say that to? It was like it wasn't. Was
it to the Duke?
I think it might have been to the Duke. Yeah.
If you move, I'll tear your fucking lungs out.
Yeah.
Oh, I also like it when he goes, when the mobster's like, "Do you know who I work for?" He's like, "No, make sure you're talking to the microphone," which is such an 80s.
Oh yeah.
Like I grew up in Surrey, and every time right before he got punched by somebody, they'd always go talking to the mic. At one point,
it was a narc in Surrey, apparently.
De Niro calls Joe Pantoliano, "You slime ball in a sea of pus."
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
And the line that I actually remember so clearly from the first time I saw it is when Joe Pantoliano was on the phone having this heated argument.
Which is all the time.
Which is everything. He's like freaking out. And he's like, he's telling me to go fuck myself. You're telling me to go fuck myself. Everybody's telling me to go fuck myself.
He's screaming that in a crowded mall
in his office.
I thought it was in when he ran to get the phone.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
In the restaurant they go to.
By the way, he was a customer at Black Dog Canby.
Joe Pantoliano?
Joey Pants?
Oh, no kidding. Cool. I also love Joe Pantoliano.
Yep.
Yeah. Joey Pants is great.
Yep.
So,
I like him in most everything.
Great cast, great script. I mean, I agree. I agree. Like, I do think the airplane scene could have been trimmed. Like,
whatever.
They could have shaved 10 or 15 minutes off this movie. But like overall, I still totally enjoyed it.
Actually, interesting thing I read today. You know the scene when Charles Grodin falls in the river?
Yeah.
And then De Niro jumps in after him? Well, apparently that water was so cold they had to fly to New Zealand to shoot them going down the rapids.
No kidding.
Yeah. Because it was too cold. It was too cold to shoot it in Arizona.
Warm water.
Yeah,
in Arizona, it was too cold.
In Zona, yeah.
Wow.
Because I think they're shooting it in the wintertime.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was going to say because I've been to Arizona in August, and it's
a little
not
hot.
too cold.
Yeah. Well, the scenery when they're driving through, I think it's Monument Valley. That's where they're going through. It's amazing. I've driven through there before. It's fucking beautiful. It's such a great part of the country.
Well, it's like when he's driving. God, he steals so many vehicles and
yeah. Crashes so many.
And he's like, imagine the guy whose Jeep that was. Like, his kid is sick in the hospital.
Yeah.
and he comes, some bounty hunter has stolen his Jeep.
And then trashes it.
I never really knew where he was. I mean, that's the one criticism I would have is I didn't really ever, with the exception of Chicago, L.A., and New York, I didn't really ever know where they were.
It's weird
geographically,
because they're in Chicago, and then he's having him wire money to him in Amarillo, which is in Texas.
That's Texas, right?
Yeah, which is the northern part of Texas, but it's not on the way to L.A. Like Chicago's north, you have to drive all the way south and then over. Why wouldn't you just drive across the country?
I have another question too. It just occurred to me because the movie's called Midnight Run because I guess that's a slang term that bounty hunters use. Like
Yep, I've used it a lot.
So the whole thing is Joey Pants is like Jack, you got to get him here by midnight. But never before had I thought, Well, okay, so
Why?
they get there at like 11:45. Like, what's going to happen? I don't. Do he has to sign a piece of paper?
Well, he's going to prison or something, is he?
What happened? The whole thing of the movie is that if he isn't back by midnight, Joey Pants loses the bail money.
Oh, no, I understand that.
But why midnight?
But if it's what's the difference between 11:45 and 12:01? Like, does someone show up at midnight and say like, "That's it, I want my"?
Yeah, no, it's the contract that they have for the bail.
But what if it was like 12:30 or 1 in the morning?
He's
like,
out. He's broken the. It's a
No,
deadline.
I understand it's a deadline, but who's there to?
Well, they might be a little flexible.
Who oversees? Is there like a third party who shows up and it's like it's 12:01? He's
he
free
doesn't
to
show up at the time. It's just that he won't get the money.
Well, how would anybody know?
They have records, and now they probably have.
Well,
really
who
concise
has?
records.
This is my question. Who has records?
The courts. The courts. The bail people are the bail people work.
I see.
With the courts.
So why
But
didn't
the courts won't even be open at midnight.
No, they won't. But they will honor the thing. And
So why not just lie and say, yeah, he got here at 11:30?
Well, I'm sure sometimes they do lie, but then there's probably some ways that you can't. I'm sure that there's a mechanism that they have.
Also not.
And there's
really
also a
important point.
conceit of this
Well, no,
is in
but-
a movie, and it might not be exactly how it plays out.
But surely, like 9 a.m. run would make more.
Well,
you gotta get him here by 9 a.m.
Doesn't really flow off the
on
tongue,
Monday.
does it?
I think
9
the
a.m.
midnight run thing is meant to be slightly metaphorical in that it's when the deadline.
It's an overnight-
is whenever, right? So it might be midnight in this case, but it might also be 6 o'clock,
like a graveyard
on
shift
Monday.
Is
Yeah,
a Monday
or
it's literally a graveyard.
Or taking the red eye flight. It's sort of like
Yeah.
it's just a thing that they say.
Yeah, because
It's just words that came out of their mouth.
Because you have pink eye when you get off a plane like that.
Ugh, I hate the
it's
red
like
eye.
literal.
It's the worst.
It's not bad.
Oh, I hate it.
Well, we could do red eye for our next.
That's not a bad little. That's a Wes Craven movie. It's not a bad.
As long as we're talking about like literal expression. Sorry, not literal expressions. Figurative, whatever.
Metaphorical
Figurative
expressions?
expression.
Right.
The motion picture.
Right.
Midnight
was
Run.
Kurt Russell in the 90s. That was.
Well, let's wrap this thing up. I think we've talked enough about this movie.
So let's start with our guests. So Josie, question number 1: does it hold up? Question number 2: it is Monday here at Black Dog Video, which as we all know, it's 2 for 1. If somebody comes to the counter and presents you with Midnight Run, what other movie would you recommend as a pairing?
Oh, well.
So number 1, does it hold up? Number 2, what movie?
Yeah,
I probably should have given you a heads up. That's what we're doing tonight.
Well, no, I know we always do that, and
Okay,
that's the
good.
only thing I prepared.
Oh, good.
Because I didn't watch the movie because I didn't know you guys were doing it
Until
this afternoon. But yesterday I thought about watching it, and I've seen it a bunch of times, so I figured I'd know it anyway. But I didn't watch it last night.
So it's hard for you to say it still holds up, I guess, because you haven't watched it in a while.
I haven't watched it in about 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But the last time I watched it, I laughed a lot. It was the movie I remembered.
So like 2018, it held up.
Yeah.
But you don't know about.
I don't know about 2021, post-pandemic, whatever.
who knows?
Maybe who knows? But I would say I have 2 choices.
Okay, Alex.
But I'm gonna say the first one, which is probably one that everybody else has already thought of because it's been mentioned already. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Obviously
would be the other one that I would pick, just because, I'm pretty sure when I saw this movie, even originally, I don't know if it was out yet or not, but maybe when I saw it on tape, I was like, that would go good together.
Planes, Trains is like 87.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure early on I thought these were good choice, like way back when.
Don't take my other one.
But I do have another one, and I will say it afterwards if nobody else says it.
Okay. No, go ahead.
Really?
Yeah.
So my second choice is The Trip.
Which one?
That's a fine choice.
The first one.
First one's the best one.
It's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
I like the other ones, but yeah.
The last one is really good too. The trip to
Greece.
Yeah.
I thought that those two, the middle one's not so much.
Yeah.
I never even occurred to me.
That's a good one. Yeah.
That's kind of a perfect pick.
Yeah.
Two actors with charisma. It's funny. There's
Yeah.
less machine guns. Yeah.
As a that would be a good double bill with either of those movies.
Because those guys have good chemistry as well.
Yeah,
Coogan
and they might be more familiar
Bob
to
Brydon.
younger
and
viewers and stuff.
It's a nice contrast too, because it's a completely different tone.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's quiet. It's
There's
more svelte.
more Michael Caine
It's
impressions.
More svelte.
More svelte.
Yeah.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off. That is the worst Michael Caine. That was my Michael Caine.
Really?
Yep.
That was pretty bad.
You were only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
Nope.
Oh, that's
nope.
bad.
That's getting worse, actually.
That was what was that?
That was closer to Charles Grodin.
The Italian Job. which I've only seen the remake of, but I really liked. Great choices.
Okay.
I was going to suggest maybe we pick a Charles Grodin one each.
I don't think I've seen another Charles Grodin movie.
All right. Okay, so Josie's picks
films.
being Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and The Trip. The first one. How about you, Darren?
The first time I watched this movie, which I mentioned earlier, I thought it was all right. Last night, I had a blast watching it. I really enjoyed it. It's one of the better movies I think we've done for the podcast. It was, excuse me, I actually stopped taking notes after a while because I just wanted to sit back and enjoy the film. And yeah, I'd highly recommend it. It was, it's too long. There's obviously some fat could be trimmed, but I don't want to nitpick. It's good. Rent this movie. My pairing, probably obvious as well, because when I was watching this movie, I kept thinking, well, this movie could use some women in it. So my obvious pick is going to be Thelma and Louise.
Boom!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, which is a great road trip movie.
Yep.
It's got good comedy elements and great chemistry between Gene Davis and Susan Sarandon. It's great and it's it's poignant. It's got a lot to say and it's got that great ending.
There's explosions in it.
Yeah, it's got sexy Brad Pitt. So yeah, there's a lot.
It does.
There's a lot of good things about Thelma and Louise.
I did think that there was that one moment on the highway, which is such a Thelma and Louise moment when you think it's all over because all the cops from everywhere are coming and then they just drive into the desert.
Yeah.
Excellent pick.
Thank you.
Mr. Alex, to my left. Does it hold up, and what would your pairing be?
Well, I've only ever liked this movie or liked it a lot. Sort of thing. I have never loved it or thought it was brilliant or anything. So it held up in the terms. It's just, I liked it. I liked it as much as I ever did. It still, to me, at times feels like it's swinging pendulum style and not always successfully between straight up action.
I didn't think you were going to say pendulum. Sorry.
Straight up
action. Like swinging with the hand motion.
They're going to talk about a giant dick in the wind?
I'm just like, what are you swinging? Sorry.
Between like a dark action movie and a comedy, it sometimes can't really make up its mind. But I mean, I like the film. I definitely recommend it. I would pair it with what I feel is one of my all-time favorite buddy kind of road trip films, The Hitcher. And I think, and The Hitcher, I feel, is a better film. I really like this movie.
Which we've done on the podcast.
But the dark duality going down the road together, and both have a bitchin' taking out a helicopter with like a gun scene.
That's true.
That totally reminded me. The highway scenes reminded me of The Hitcher. I love The Hitcher. You can tell from other podcast when I praised it.
I like
that's one thing this movie was missing was Jennifer Jason Leigh being torn asunder by two trucks.
But I kept expecting, like when they were driving away from the helicopter.
How many films could you find with Rutger Hauer, at the end of a high-powered rifle?
Yeah. Taking out
several,
helicopter.
Especially like his sort of breakthrough film,
Nighthawks?
The Osterman Weekend,
where
he plays a guy with a high-powered rifle,
right?
And you could just easily take one of those scenes and go, book,
yeah.
Put it in there,
or hobo with a high-powered rifle,
or hobo with a shotgun,
yeah. or Wanted Dead or Alive. He puts the grenade in Gene Simmons.
Oh, that's right. You could have
Gene Simmons from Kiss, not the actress Gene Simmons.
That's good.
Rutger Hauer's one where it wasn't until after he passed away where I realized the immense body of work. Because I can name a handful, the obvious ones, Blade Runner, blah blah blah, and then you look at his filmography and it's like 1,000 movies.
Yeah,
that's true. He was Holland's top star. I mean, he was.
He liked to work.
That's a whole other discussion.
Yeah,
Soldier of Orange, among others. But
so
all I mean is that they both. That's all I meant. And I only went on the Rutger Hauer tangent. Like I was expecting him to drive up and shoot down that helicopter. I totally forgot that De Niro shot it down. Yeah. So I thought they were just going to get away from it somehow. It would hit a mountain.
You know, it'd be great. Would be if
so. I was pleasantly surprised.
Would be if it was revealed, like in a post-credit sequence on Midnight Run, that like De Niro totally missed the helicopter, and then it pulls back, and there's Rutger Hauer, like on the other side of the bridge, and he winks.
Hitcher predates.
All he does is he just lives to blow up helicopters. That guy.
How about you there, Dylan? What do you think about this thing?
Oh, I mean, I've made my feelings perfectly clear to this tribunal. Love the movie. Loved it when I first saw it. Love it every time I watch it. And just loved having an opportunity to dust off my old VHS version, my copy.
Have you ever seen on DVD or anything like that?
Oh, of course I have.
Okay,
I've seen it. I've seen plenty of formats.
Oh yeah. 16 millimeter.
Yeah.
The side of a bus as it's moving.
Projected in the midnight sky.
Oh, on the moon.
Yeah. Anyway, love it. Love this movie. It's near and dear to my heart. I'm just so glad we got to do it on the podcast finally. Yes, absolutely. I'd recommend it. When customers come in and rent it, invariably it turns into like a 10 or 15 minute conversation just about how great this fucking movie is.
Conversation where Dylan talks the whole time.
And I won't let them leave.
Yeah, that's not a conversation.
I got one of those.
It's a diatribe.
One of those creepy. Like executive buttons that locks the door, you know, from the desk.
Darren, that's why, Darren, we now have the hook that comes out and pulls you away.
Yeah, it's a trap door I'm working on.
Customer too long,
and people are fans of this movie. Like it's often in my picks, like on my little picks shelf.
Right.
And yeah, it's got its fans, and I always love to meet them. So if you love the movie, come on in and
listen to Dylan talk
and
about
listen to
it
me talk incessantly about that kid on the airplane because he actually went on to do some shit.
Oh.
Anyway. My pairings, for Charles Grodin Day, I might consider pairing it with the Muppets. The Great Muppet Caper? Because that's the only other movie of Charles Grodin's that I've seen more than once.
Well, Clifford, you've seen that a number of times, haven't you?
I've seen clips from it, and it looks like the stuff of nightmares.
Oh, I thought you had a tattoo of Clifford on you.
That's why it's the stuff of nightmares. Have you ever read the Kafka story in the Penal Colony?
I have not read that one.
It's like this torture. You know the one Greg knows in the penal colony. It's this torture device that stabs you with little needles, and spells out your crime on your back. And at this blissful moment before you die, you can actually read what has been like driven into your flesh.
Right.
Did that with Martin Short's face from Clifford.
Wow.
I don't even.
Pairing?
Sorry.
Wow.
No, my pairing. I genuinely can't decide.
So you have none.
So I actually have 6.
Oh my God.
But okay.
You've eclipsed Alex for
honorable
craziness.
mention. We don't have this movie, so I'm just going to throw this out there. The movie Flashback, starring Kiefer Sutherland and Dennis Hopper.
We don't have that?
Nobody remembers this movie.
I remember that movie.
I remember it.
Sentimental dreck.
That was the working title, but
it starts off promising with all this awesome tension between Kiefer Sutherland and Dennis Hopper, and then it throws it all away in favor of this totally cheesy, saccharine. Everyone's a hippie at heart message.
But it does start. It does start out with like
it starts off really solid, and then it completely goes down the tube.
Anyway, and you know, there's Talking Heads on the soundtrack, so I like it. My actual pick is Get Shorty. That's the one. It's got Dennis Farina.
Right.
It is a crime-based comedy.
Right.
People say fuck every second word. Look that up on the list there, Greg. Like, does Get Shorty get any notice for most fucks?
Any fucking notice?
And if we don't have Get Shorty, you got to go Beverly Hills Cop. I guess because it's like because Beverly Hills Cop is an equally funny, equally action-packed flick. And those are my 2 picks.
I like this one better than Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh, it's much better than Beverly Hills Cop. But I do have a soft spot for Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah, it's
that's one I haven't seen in a long time.
And I was going to say Blues Brothers, but we talked about it. Planes, Trains, obviously. And Quick Change, I think, would also be a really interesting.
I like to do that movie for this part. I like to watch that again. So.
Quick Change is an all-time favorite of mine.
I know.
Quick Change is terrific. Okay. Well, that brings us to the end of the Black Dog Video After Dark podcast, a.k.a. Black Dog After Dark. Josie, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me on the last minute one for one of my favorite films.
If people were to try to track you down, do you want them to?
Like a bounty hunter?
And if so,
please do not reenact the film with me.
You know, if somebody wanted to purchase your zines or check out your work, maybe a Twitter, maybe a Facebook.
You can find me on Facebook as the Indolent Spinster.
The Indolent Spinster.
Yeah,
that's INDOLENT.
Don't try to spell it.
Yeah, and then Spinster, which is spin with a STER.
Spinster. Yeah, like a spins class.
Yeah, kind of
like the bed spins.
Yeah,
right.
Unmarried lady of a certain age.
Unmarried lady of a certain age.
Yeah,
who is indolent. Whatever.
Well, if you're unmarried by a certain age, doesn't it automatically means you're indolent?
I think right
automatically means you're lucky. Darren, you are here. You are here at the shop.
Yeah,
All
way
right.
too much.
All right, signing off.
Yeah,
also on the much ballyhooed newsletter.
The newsletter and the little I do little video reviews of movies that I hadn't seen before that I watched on our website. Do it once a week. Dylan cleverly puts them all together and makes me look good. And check them out.
And what website would that be?
Oh, the blackdogvideo.spinster blackdogvideo.ca website.
Correct.
Yes, thank
Not
you.
to be confused with blackdogvideo.bc.ca.
Yeah, that's the old one. We're moving everything over to the new one. It's a work in progress, but yeah, go check out the new one. Check out our podcast, the old ones, and yeah, our little videos. They're fun.
And we've also got loads of great material up on YouTube.
Yep.
At Black Dog Video Empire is what you're looking for. Black Dog Video Empire, and Darren's self-hosted show. Movies
I should have seen by now, but for some reason haven't.
Something like that. Movies I should have seen by now in brackets. I don't know if I can fit that in a
it's fine.
In a title screen.
It's whatever. I could have thought a better title than that,
but they're great. You know,
and I think they're really nice and fun.
Yeah, they're loads of fun.
I enjoy them.
You just need to change your shirt once in a while.
I changed my shirt for yesterday.
At least twice a week.
And I like that they're reasonably short.
I try to keep them like under around 3 minutes. I don't want to. I don't want to bore anybody.
All the best things in life are under 3 minutes. Mr. Alex Chisholm. You're not on Twitter. You're not on Instagram. What do you do?
Yeah, what do you do? Explain yourself.
Where do you want people to find you? And if so, how could they do it?
Drop by Black Dog sometime and say hi. And
if he's here.
The Rio will carry on. We will reopen someday soon.
Hopefully next week.
I'll see you there. I program. I work a lot behind the scenes, but I also work the door sometimes.
What is the Rio?
If it's me, and if it is, I'll say hi.
For the uninitiated, the Rio is a theater.
It's a multi-media venue, yes. Movie theater, live venue,
and
everything.
Cabaret.
But presently they're calling themselves...
Well, we had to become a sports bar during the lockdown because we're a live venue and a movie theater that also has bar service. So technically we're also a bar. Theaters have been closed, as everyone knows here in BC.
Way
due
too
to
long.
the pandemic.
Yeah, way too long.
So... we reopened technically as a bar, but the problem is we're now closed as a bar until further notice because only bars with patios
but no patio
are allowed open, and we do not have a patio. But we're determined to come back. So if you want to find me, just come say hi at Black Dog or say hi to me at the door at the Rio. And if I'm on duty when you come by, I'll say hi back.
Depending on they could be listening to this. Like,
you guys should have just cut a giant hole in the roof, and there you got a patio.
I hear you.
Like demons. You just drop a helicopter.
Through the roof.
To the ceiling.
The way I look at it, the Rio, like I've been there since the beginning, and all the various challenges that everyone's had to go through along the way. It's almost like a video game that gets a harder skill level. Like,
first it was just final boss. The big
being
boss.
open as a new business, and then it was like, we want to get a liquor license. We almost got a business too, but we get to the next level, and then it's like, now it's like we have to fight to stay open.
To buy the theater.
The building almost got sold, so that was another skill level where the owners had to buy it, the Corinne and the team had to buy it.
Had to sell the 3D projector to do that.
The boss, and now it's like the challenge everyone else is having, like, can we stay open during a deadly virus?
And you've got that gorilla up on the balcony throwing barrels at people, and you have to find an Italian plumber to jump up there and
a little space
and
invaders
take care of him.
That's right. Centipedes. There's centipedes in the ceiling.
Robotrons
and blasteroids.
But
all that stuff. Pac-Mans.
And I have been Dylan Reimer. I'm a comedian. Unlike my Luddite compatriots, I actually have a Twitter account.
I have a Twitter account.
I have a Twitter.
Oh, okay. A friend of mine has recently befriended none other than Edgar Wright.
Oh, cool.
So I'm doing everything I can to maybe get Edgar Wright on the show.
Oh,
yeah.
I gave us a shout out on social media at the Rio years ago.
Edgar Wright?
Yeah, because we did the triple bill of his films.
Oh, that's awesome.
And, the trilogy, and he gave us a show.
I chat every now and then with the guy that did Miracle Mile. He's a nice guy. Steve Jarnett, I believe his name is. Yeah.
But that makes up for you horribly offending that other director.
Not the director.
Of Face Off, the Canadian Face Off.
I was thinking about that today.
Art
wow, what an awful thing I did.
You're a monster.
Art Hindle? You were mean to Art Hindle?
I was.
You're gonna take it to your grave.
I don't know what was wrong with me when I still feel terrible about that.
I've texted Art.
I like Art Hindle. When I look back at the movie that I dissed, I actually like it more than I did when I watched it. So.
Oh, okay.
But
So Art, if you're listening, Art's been listening to every podcast hoping for an apology.
My apologies to you, Art, and to the makers of Face Off. I was unwarrantedly cruel to you guys in my review of that.
And I'm sorry, Art, when I said I prefer the Nicolas Cage face-off to your face-off. I know yours came out first.
Amanda, who used to work here, she's been on the podcast before. I text her once in a while, and she seldom replies, really never replies. But I texted her when that happened back in the day. Oh, my God, Darren offended Art Hindle. All she texted back was like, ha, 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 ha. It was like lines long, the text.
So, yeah, you can find me at Dylan Reimer on Twitter, and that's DYLANRHYMER.
Use your name?
There's only one other Dylan Reimer who is worth anything on this planet. And he's an Australian winemaker, and we chat sometimes. But I beat him to Twitter. So he's like Dylan Reimer 2 or Dylan Reimer 69.
69.
Before I transitioned, I had a different name. And I was Facebook friends with 7 other people who had my name.
No kidding.
Yeah, I'm still Facebook friends with one of them because he died.
Oh, so you would have been
bumped up the ladder.
Yeah, but the rest of them dumped me when I transitioned.
Really?
Yeah,
losers.
Well, because I wasn't the same name person anymore. So
you weren't part of the club.
I weren't part
anymore.
of that. I wasn't part of that group or whatever.
Well, have you looked up any Josie Boyces out there?
I think I did when I changed my name just to see how many there were, and there weren't that many, so I was kind of okay with it.
Okay, so it's just like a new team.
Yeah.
Fucking A.
Yeah. But this one of them was doing that, was going around friending all the people named, I'll use my dead name, even I don't really care, Joe Burgess, because I have books with that name, so please buy those.
Okay, Joe Burgess.
But I was friends with a whole bunch of other people named that.
Right.
Well, you have, I don't know.
Yeah, it was on Facebook when Facebook first started. There wasn't a lot to do.
Facebook
when it first started was like there was nothing.
It was like you and Mark Zuckerberg were friends.
I find this very reassuring. I'm not the only superficial person with a microphone in front of their face right now.
In the 1990s, in Halifax, I'm from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, of course, but in Halifax, Nova Scotia, the Nova Scotia College of Art and Design hired a professor named Alex Chisholm, and they took out an ad in the paper talking about like it was an ad for the school, and they actually said we welcome new faculty, and they listed him. And my father, also named Alex Chisholm, got a bunch of messages on the answer machine thinking it was me because I was away at like art school. Like,
right.
People assumed it was right around the time I graduated. People assumed I had moved back and was teaching there.
I wasn't.
But I wasn't. That would be a great job.
Bad they couldn't have
Nova
sent
Scotia
you a
College of
check
Art and
or
Design
something.
is awesome.
Sure.
And when in the early days of Facebook, I got a bunch of messages from people saying, "You're such a great teacher." I said, "I'm not the guy from NASCAD." And I spoke to him once. I'm like, "Yeah, people keep sending me messages. I guess you did a really great job." "Oh, thanks, man. That's hilarious." Yeah, people have mistaken me for a guy from Dartmouth, so I guess we're this. Yeah,
I wasn't
it was like Alex Chisholm, Nova Scotia.
I wasn't aware that Dartmouth had reached the 90s yet.
Well, they just got electricity.
I thought that. I just thought of yet another disparaging thing to say about Dartmouth, but Alex's friends all hate me enough.
How worse can it get?
I've made enemies with all of Dartmouth. I like Dartmouth, so you can find me at on Instagram. It's _ Dylan Reimer or whatever the fuck it is.
Send your hate mail from Dartmouth too.
Bring it on. Go down to the library and sign up to use the computer to send me a
fax,
a MySpace hate message.
Yeah.
Or COD space or whatever they just put a message in a COD and send it west.
Yeah, people have to kiss it along the way.
There's nothing wrong with kissing a COD. Well, I've been to Newfoundland. It's what you do.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm a comedian. Check me.
He is. Everybody.
Check me out. Yeah. Check me out on YouTube.
Check him out.
He gets paid to be funny. You'd never guess.
At @W. I know you hate it when I say @W, but I'm keeping it old school. www.dylanreimer.com
on the World Wide Web.
On the world, yes, on the planetary communication extravaganza.
Can we turn this off now?
Yeah, please. I'm
trying to.
It's like Midnight Run itself. It's going on way too long.
It's longer than Midnight Run at this point.
If you don't stop this podcast, I'm going to stab you in the heart with a fucking pencil.
It's longer than Heaven's Gate. There you go.
That should be your tagline for the end of every podcast.
So thank you to all you slime balls in a sea of pus, and thank you to Greg Stephenson, who is
who puts up with us for way too long.
Our tech impresario.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I would say long suffering at this point. But so are you, listener.
He's the one that makes us sound as good as we do.
Yes, but he can't do anything about our actual voices.
No. Too bad.
Yeah, this is recorded at Black Dog Video, 1470 Commercial Drive here in sunny, rainy,
Dark.
lightning-y.
Oh, it was awesome.
wow, yeah.
Vancouver. We're not going to talk about the lightning.
No.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
Let's not talk about that.
It was a farewell to Charles Grodin from the heavens. And yeah, rest in peace, Charles Grodin. Everybody out there, be good to everybody out there, and thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You're okay, Jack. I think under different circumstances, you and I probably still would have hated each other.
We probably could have been friends.
In the next life.
Yeah, the next life.
The Black Dog After Dark podcast is recorded at Black Dog Video on Commercial Drive in Vancouver, Canada. It's presented by Alex Chisholm, Darren Gay, and Dylan Reimer. It is produced by Dylan Reimer and Darren Gay. Alex just kind of stands there and drinks beer. The intro and outro music was recorded by Tiger Burning Bright, composed by Jeff, who works at Jefferson's Barbershop, also on Commercial Drive. And he's a damn good hairstylist.